Okay, so once you get to the point 1/3 way through the full length of your scarf, um, now mine is, I've switched over to the actual scarf that I am knitting, and I measured out the length I have. In total I would need about 54 inches for the scarf because I'm making it for my 4-year-old, and 1/3 of that is 16 inches, so that's where I am at now. So 16 inches, I've measured it out, and this is where it is. Now I'm going to introduce in a color, and we're going to be doing stripes. So first, to change color, we're going to use the color that I had before. So here we go. It contrasts well with this yarn. You can pick something that complements or contrasts. And what I'm going to do is make a loop. I don't need too long of a tail like I did for the cast on, but about 6 to 8 inches in length. And I'm going to weave it on just like that, like just put on the loop and hold it in the front, because my first stitch is going to be a purl stitch, and I'm going to hold all 3 of them. So I have the yarn that goes to the yarn ball, the working yarn, my new color, and that has both the tail and the yarn that goes to the yarn ball. So 3 yarns together, hold it, find my other needle, and I'm going to do my purl stitch. So ignore this first loop for a bit, so just like you would a purl stitch, the regular purl stitch. You're going to bring it over and around, and then you're going to take it through. You have several. Now you have 1, 2, 3 pieces of yarn there, but that's okay. Just take it off and tighten it. I like doing it this way because you don't lose any of it. And it's only a first stitch, the very first time you're attaching a new color. And after a while you don't see it. Like if you really look close, then maybe yes, you would see it, but otherwise no. And from now on you can forget all the other yarn strings and only hold the working yarn, which is now your contrast B color B, and you're going to continue. So take the yarn to the back. I'll take all 3 of them to the back actually, and then pick up only one contrast B. It's color B that's attached to the yarn ball, and you're going to continue working the pattern. Knit 1 below. Okay, my purl, my knit, and you'll see that with this fisherman stitch you don't really see where the color joins. Like you don't see a line that you would not normally see in a rib pattern. You would see the join line, and there are ways to hide it, but in this one you don't need to do anything more. You can just continue with your pattern. So I'm gonna do this all through to the end of the row. So I'm getting to the end of this. I'll meet you at the end the row, and as you can see I have color B on this end, and if we go back to the other end I have my color A still attached. Okay, and that's the way it should be. Don't cut off that yarn or anything, just leave it the way it is for now. And we're going to continue the pattern, so I'm going to come back here and continue in color B for 3 more rows. So this is row 1. I have to do 2, 3, and 4. So I'll end up back at the end with this color. But I'm gonna go ahead and knit, work back on row 2 of the color B and meet you at the end of row 2. So now I've come to the last 2 stitches on row 2, and it looks like so many stitches, but it's actually just 2. So I'm gonna do my purl on this one, purl, and then my last knit stitch. Now you see that the stitches are getting a little loose. That's fine, you just pull them. And then for the knit stitch, you have to take all 3 of them. It gets a little messy at this point, but that's fine. Take all 3 and you're going to do 1 knit stitch. And that's it. That's the only time you'll have to deal with that bulk. This is not the usual way to attach, but I just found it a little easy, and it hides the different things that we're doing because of the stitch. So when we're working in another project, I'll show you another way of attaching the colors where it's not so visible and not so, bulky. Okay, see, but on this side you hardly see anything. You just see a little bit of the dark blue right there, and you'll soon forget about it. Okay, so now we're at the end of row 2, and there's one more thing to do now. Now we want to take this color A with us and carry it up without big loops coming on the side. And because we're going on to 4 rows when we're doing that, so just to make sure I have the correct yarn here, because there's like different ones, that this is my tail end. I don't want that one. I'll just move that out of the way. And here is my color A and my color B. This is the working yarn right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take color A and go over color B and over. So you see how I've pulled it up now? Pulled it up on the side right there. If you can see right there where I'm, okay. Now if I didn't do that, if I just went ahead like this one's going to be dangling down. And then when it comes for me to use color A, there's going to be a big loop. So this will carry the color up the side of the work almost invisibly. So again, loop it, and now we're going to continue working with, I've looped it, so now I've continued working with my color B. So just to start off the first few stitches, I hold on to my color B and my first purl stitch. So make sure your color A is underneath and your color B is on top, and you're going to do that, and you've carried the color through. Oh, let me try that again. I only caught part of the yarn, so there we go. Okay, take it off, and there. And so I've carried the second color up the yarn, and I can now continue with color B as if nothing happened. I will meet you at the end of row 4. Okay, so now I've come to the end of row 4 with my color B, and I've put in my lifeline. And so anyway, so now we're at end of row 4 on the color B, and we're going back to, we're doing stripes. So this is the pattern that we're going to be starting our stripes, and we've done one stripe in the contrasting color B, and now we're going back to color A. So all we have to do is put in my needle into position for purling the first stitch, purl stitch, and I'm going to just pick up my color A and just use that instead of my color B. And that's all it is. And just to tighten up the first stitch, I'll pull in both the yarns. I guess I should do it together. There we go. And there it is. Okay, so now I'm going to continue the 4 rows in color A. And at the end of row 2, with this color, I'm going to pull up the contrasting color so that I can bring it up on the side, just like we did before. So this is the stripe pattern that I'm going to continue working on. I'll show you with color A. Meet you at the end of row 2 on color. Okay, so now I've come to the end of row 2 with my color A, and I'm going to do the same thing where I pick up the color B yarn and I take it under and over. Okay, so I brought it up basically like that, if you can see, and we're going to continue on for 2 more rows in color A. Okay, so here's my last stitch on row 4, and I've created a second stripe, as you can see. So now we're going to continue in the stripe pattern, alternating the colors all the way till our work measures 2/3 of the total length of your scarf. Work on this. My scarf is going to be 54 in total, and so 2/3 of that would take me to 36 inches. When you're making these pieces where it's a free design, or you know, something that you can work the way you want it to, and I really like doing that, you have to be able to have more than a plan A, because there will be things that you come across as you work them, as you work through the project. And I have learned to alter my projects slightly here and there, with maybe, you know, put in, I go for one design and then I have to alter the design. Like, it could be just stripes, and then I figure, wait a minute, I don't really like the stripes. I make those stripes into just, you know, a band, and then I continue with a color or something like that. Like, this is, it's very good to be able to make your own things. It's always nice to follow a pattern if you really like it, but what fun is that all the time, right? Like, why not come up with your own patterns? And I hope following my videos will help you. These are just ideas that you can take and then make something for yourself. Make it your own. You know, it doesn't have to be the same stitch. It doesn't have to be the stripe pattern. Like, you could change it up whatever way you want. So for you, you would take it up to the point of your 2/3 mark of your total length of scarf, and I'll meet you back there. As you can see, I've knitted up the stripe pattern, and it is just as long as my first part, which was the plain dark blue. And now I'm going on to the third part of this scarf, which is going to be all in the light blue. So on my needle, I have come up to the dark blue, and I'm now going to switch to the light blue like we would. But if you haven't already done so, just because we're ending with the dark blue now, I'll just show you something that you can do. And if you have, then we can do something about that later too. So I'll show you 2 ways. Okay, so I'm down to the last stitch before I end with the dark blue. What I'm going to do is the last stitch is a knit stitch, But instead of just doing the dark blue like we would have usually done it, I'm going to take both the colors together and do that. So I'm going to use both the colors together, and that'll just make for a tighter finish. That's one way to do it. Okay, so you can do that, and then we will be snipping off the yarn. I'd leave about a 6-inch tail and snip it off. So if you have already completed the stitch and you've used only the one thread, I suggest you just take it off. So use your needle, your left hand needle, to just go back onto the last stitch, pull it off, and off the needle onto your left hand needle, and it's as simple as that. And now do the knit stitch again with both the yarn, because it does make for a stronger finish. Okay, there. So you've done the knit stitch with both, and now what I'm going to do is the dark blue yarn. I'm going to take about a 6 to 8 inch tail and snip it off. And there you go, just snip it off. Okay, so once you've snipped that off, make a knot between the two yarns, and that's just to secure it one more time. Okay, and then we'll come back to this tail at the end when we're weaving in the ends. There. So that's my dark blue, and I've finished off with that. Now pretend like you haven't been doing the stripe pattern, and that you've just been using the light blue. So I'm going to continue on with the same pattern, nothing's changed, with the light blue yarn. And I'm going to meet you, you're going to continue with the light blue pattern for another portion of the scarf, which is going to be again the 1/3 length of your scarf. So here's my scarf. Here's my scarf, and I'm going to knit back to the 1/3 length of that. So I'll meet you at the end, when you get to the end, and then we will go on to do the cast off. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe and like it to show your support. To work on this project with me, please go to the next video, Fisherman Scarf Project, Binding Off, Part 5.